Hello, this is our cultural biography project on Pontiac GM. It's by Andrea, Travis, Farzan, Stephen, and myself, Rob. I'm just going to start with a brief history on Pontiac GM. It was established in 1893 by Edward M. Murphy. It was named after a small town in Michigan called Pontiac. In 1909, GM bought the company, and in 1926 they introduced their first car, and it was called the 5-passenger coach. So Pontiac tended to target a younger market with fast and sleek looking designs. They were the first car to offer engine options. In 1955, Pontiac Convertible appeared in episodes of I Love Lucy, which was a popular TV show in the 1950s. The company thrived during the muscle car era, which is during the 60s and 70s, with brands like GTO, Firebird, the Trans Am, and the Grand Prix. The Firebird was also actually showcased in the TV series The Knight Rider, and that was with David Hasselhoff, and that was another popular TV show. A few brands such as the Pontiac Fiero were noted for malfunctions and therefore recalled. And eventually in 2010, GM opted to discontinue Pontiac completely. Historically, Pontiac was very inconsistent in both their marketing strategies and their focus on their target market. In 1926 to 1950, Pontiac focused on value position and targeted middle-aged, middle-class consumers, which was a gap in GM's lineup at the time. And Pontiac quickly became the best-selling V6 in North America. 1950s, they shifted their marketing focus and began to design more sports and high-performance based vehicles. The 60s saw that they struck a massive deal with Kellogg, putting Pontiac GTO on 42 million boxes of cereal. And they also appeared on a popular TV show called I Dream of Jeannie. In the 1970s, they once again shifted their focus, and it was towards being a value-driven brand. This was after an increase in gas prices. And what they also did was try to maintain the performance aspect. So doing both these things was a risk, but it proved to be a big success with consumers. And then in the 1980s, focus shifted back towards high performance and after decreased gas prices. So this actually had little success with consumers, and they saw a decrease in sales. And then from 2000 to 2010, Pontiac was, despite working with various strategies and ad campaigns and stuff like that, they were unable to find a working campaign. So they spent the decade watching their sales fall, and in 2010, the entire Pontiac brand was discontinued, like I said earlier, by GM. And then this is basically just a picture of an old ad from 1935, one of their first ones that they did. So it's advertising the Pontiac V6. We focused on a number of different theories from the textbook, the first being motivation, ability, and opportunity. Motivation from a marketing perspective is the process that causes consumers to act in specific ways and drives the market to procure products and services by compelling them into action. And within motivation, there's two different theories, which are drive and expectancy. So we found, when tying it into our interviews, we found that when purchasing any vehicle, the consumer is making the purchase based on expectancy theory. And during our interviews with all three people we interviewed, they stated that they basically believed or expected that Pontiac was a reliable and dependable brand of vehicle, while actually being reasonably priced as well. Next, we focused on exposure, intention, and perception. Regardless of the consumer's current need to purchase a vehicle, they'll likely notice when a new vehicle is driving beside them, or when they enter and notice a new car smell. So this is regarding the exposure to the certain stimuli with sight and smell. We asked in our interviews, how do you feel when you enter a new vehicle and experience that new car aroma? And the response was, my desire to purchase a new vehicle increases, even if I was not considering it before. There is nothing better than entering a vehicle that is in perfect condition and has not seen wear and tear of life yet. Problem recognition and information search. So two ways that problems arise. One way is the recognition of a need, and the other is recognition of an ideal state or opportunity. So basically that means that customers will buy a Pontiac because they need a new car or because they want a new car. information search, that helps consumers make decisions by providing them with a great deal of data that's all relevant to the problem at hand. Consumers that own Pontiacs who are in the market for a new car were able to compare new Pontiac models with other competitors to see whether those competitors could offer as good a car or better for a similar price. Judgment and decision making based on high consumer involvement and effort. So the textbook summarizes that for products that are important in a consumer's life, that consumer will get a lot more involved with that product, as opposed to if it doesn't matter as much in that person's life, they won't be as involved. Pontiacs are considered a high consumer effort or involvement product. The consumer will do an extensive amount of research to determine if a Pontiac is a good option in terms of features, price, reliability, etc. They'll compare it to other similar car manufacturers and consult their spouse or family members to get an opinion. And they'll also test drive the car to make sure it's what he or she wants. Looking at the post-decision process, it obviously occurs after a consumer has made a purchase and is evaluating their level of satisfaction. So three theories that satisfaction and or dissatisfaction are based on are disconfirmation theory, attribution theory, and equity theory. If a Pontiac is purchased and it does not meet the buyer's expectations, they would be experiencing disconfirmation. So in our interview we asked, have you ever regretted a vehicle purchase? The response 2 out of the 3 times was, I purchased a used vehicle with the understanding that it was in good condition. Shortly after my purchase, the vehicle required so many repairs that it ended up totaling more than the value of the vehicle itself. Social class and household influences. So our textbook argues that consumers tend to surround themselves with people similar to them, meaning similar lifestyles and tastes in certain products. Social class and household influences can have a huge influence on consumer decisions, especially when purchasing a vehicle. For example, a man would obviously love to buy a two-door sports car or something like that, but if he has a family and has kids, he might have to prioritize them and settle for a more practical car with more space. So in our interview we asked, if you were to buy a new car, would you consult your wife and kids to get their opinions? The reply was, yes, I would. Now that my kids are older, I think they'll have more to say about what to buy. Values, personality, and lifestyle are obviously 3 concepts that play a big role in any purchase decision that a consumer makes. It's argued in the textbook that the value a consumer puts on a product is actually a good way of representing the personality and the type of lifestyle that consumer lives. So in our interviews we asked, how much thought did you put into what to buy for your current car? And the answer was, quite a bit. I believe after purchasing a house, purchasing a vehicle is the most important and extensive decision. Social influence is another concept that plays a big role in purchasing decisions. There's a desire amongst a lot of consumers to fit in, especially with vehicles. It's the last thing you want is to be ridiculed by your friends or your peers when you're, driving up in a new car. So when Pontiac was first available in 1926, owning one was very desirable, and society would view the owner as wealthy and with a high social class. We asked in our interview, do you consider Pontiacs to be popular cars? The response was, not right now. 10 years ago, definitely. The last concept we looked at was learning. So obviously it takes place when an experience prompts a lasting change in behavior. There's 2 theories, observational and behavioral, and they're both very important when it comes to purchasing vehicles. From our interviews, we concluded that consumers feel that behavioral learning is actually more significant than cognitive learning when it comes to shaping their future Pontiac purchasing decisions. So basically they were pretty adamant about saying that their experiences played a big role in their future purchasing decisions. And that concludes our presentation. Thanks a lot for your time.